Good day, folks. I'm glad to be back in, again to do another video for you. I know it's been a while since you guys have heard from me or whatever the case may be, but I just felt that it was sometimes it's just good to take a break every now and then, away from the YouTube community, just to kind of sit back and really, just see how things are going and just look at where the world is going and, of course, the people of the world and just society, just to see how things are. And basically, I believe that when you do sit back and really just take time to just breathe in and just kind of take a look and go and see what's going on around you, I believe it really makes for very good videos, or I should say it makes for better videos, which actually is the reason why I'm actually wanting to go ahead and post the video today regarding an issue that I may have spoken about previously, but for whatever reason, I don't know, again, if I took it down or if YouTube took it down or whatever the case may be. But either way it goes, I want to go ahead and actually do another video here, regarding spiritual warfare. Like I say, anytime you're talking about spiritual warfare, a lot of people don't even know what to think about it, because basically it's something that's not really talked about all that often. I mean, and the issue is that I don't know why that is, but for whatever reason, it is what it is. People don't like to really talk about what's in the unseen realms, which is what spirits are. And basically, society has taught us that basically just to focus on the natural, and basically you'll know everything that you need to know if you just focus on what you can see, feel, touch, that sort of thing. But what we have to understand is that it's what's not seen that actually does a lot of the damage and a lot of the things that we see that's going on in society. And basically, I'm going to touch on a little bit of that in this video, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So basically, I just want to go ahead and kick off this video here, again, with just just the question, what is spiritual warfare? And again, just going back and really taking a look at things, we have to understand is that we live in a spirit world, and basically spirits are everywhere. You can't run from them. They exist. We are a spirit, if you will. Basically, we have to understand that everything that exists, everything that is actually making the world move, everything that is causing whatever it is to happen or whatever, it's because of what we don't see. And basically, that's what spiritual warfare is all about. It's like we're dealing with issues and circumstances that's on a spiritual level. And basically, in order to kind of tune in and understand what's going on, you really have to have the Holy Ghost. I mean, so you'll be able to understand and comprehend what's going on in the spirit realm, which is what's causing things to happen in the natural. That's pretty much what spiritual warfare is all about. You're dealing with these issues of stuff, that's going on in the spirit. And in order for you to tune in and know what's going on in the spirit, you first of all got to have that inner being inside of you that is able to communicate on that level, so you'll begin to understand and know the reasons why things are or why people behave the way that they do. Sometimes, we look at people sometimes and just look and ask ourselves, what in the world are they smoking? What are they thinking? What have they been drinking? I mean, what happened? And the thing about it is that we sometimes it can be funny, whatever it is, people act crazy sometimes, but what we got to understand is that there's a reason why things are the way they are, or the reason why people behave the way that they do. It's because of what's going on in the spirit as it relates to them, and again, we have to kind of, just be prepared to accept that fact, and basically, again, that's what spiritual warfare teaches us. Basically, it's all about, again, ignoring what's on the natural, not going by what is actually physically seen, because what's physically there is not always the case. There's always something more to what you see, and the thing about it, again, is that's how the enemy is able to actually get a hold of us and actually do his worst, to us, is because he wants us to remain spiritually ignorant. And what I mean by that is that he does not want you to have any education, biblical education, as far as the insights of what's going on in the spirit realm, and basically it's like he wants you to be defenseless. And anytime you're defenseless, it's like you're left out there alone, like having to fight in pitch darkness. And, when you think about that just on the surface, whenever you're trying to fight in pitch darkness, you can't see what's in front of you. You can't see what's behind you, what's above you, what's below you. All you see and all you know is that you're just there in a vacuum, if you will. You're swinging, you're trying to hit something. You're being attacked, but you're swinging, hoping to hit something. But again, you're defenseless because you don't know what you're doing. You all you know is that you're just trying to, to fend off someone who is trying to overtake you. And basically, again, that is the enemy's job, is to get you out there and to leave you defenseless so he can do whatever he is or whatever he wants to do to you. But we got to understand, again, is that spiritual warfare is a very integral part of, the human condition, if you will. And it's so much, to that effect that, we have to understand is that what the Bible reminds us time and time again, that, not to rely on what you physically see. And again, it tells us this in scripture, it tells us that, that we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but enemies, against evil rulers and, authorities of the unseen world. Again, spirits. This is what it's all about. And these are spirits that are in high places that actually are able to, control great things. And again, they are high. And basically, again, you cannot fight something that is actually greater than you. I mean, you can try, but I can tell you right now that you're not going to get very far because, again, what we know is limitless. It's like we're limited, in our knowledge and anything that we do. We as humans, we're limited. And basically, the Bible is telling us, you have to link up with God to get that Holy Ghost. So you'll actually have something that you'll be able to fight with. So you won't be so, quote unquote, limited. And again, the reason why, people fail at things is because, again, they are not actually looking, a bit further. They're only, again, going on what they can physically see. And basically what they physically see, that's pretty much what they're going to judge it by. And that's their way of saying, you know what, I see that. That's what it is. OK, let's leave it alone. Let's leave it at that. But spiritual warfare actually tells us, no, it's not OK to just leave it at that. There's a whole story that actually needs to be told. And basically, you're not getting it just by looking at the situation or a person or whatever with the physical eye. What we have to understand is that anytime we're talking about spirits, you got to understand is that, or anything spiritual, if you will, that relates to spirits, you have to understand is that when you're breaking things down, you actually have to kind of get to the core of things. And basically, again, folks already know that I like to break things down, where it's actually, easy to understand and digest, if you will. I'm not the type of person that is actually all about the big words and everything like that. I mean, I could be. I mean, it's not saying that I couldn't. I mean, I could, if I really wanted to go there, I could. But again, I don't want to. I'm all about the education, to understand, to make sure that anybody that listens to my videos will be able to understand the issues at hand, while, by me breaking things down in its simplest form. So anytime we're talking about the spirit world or whatever, we have to understand that root word spiritual, of course, relating to spirits. And basically what that means, if you want to get technical about, is that when you're talking about anything that's spiritual, you're talking about the unseen realms, the things that we can't see with the physical eye. So basically, again, the way that God works, he's actually always trying to educate his people, even now more than ever, with the pandemic that's going on, unemployment, all these type of things, famine, job loss, and basically, again, crazy president, but I'm not going to get into that. That's a subject of another video. We have to understand all of these things are actually controlled by a spirit. And again, there are lots of spirits out there. And basically, again, all of these spirits that are out there, the Bible are telling us, it reminds us, to try the spirits by the spirits to see what they are. But again, in order for you to know what they are, because you won't know it by physically seeing or, by physical seeing if you could. That's why it tells us to try the spirits. Basically, when you try the spirit, that means that you're feeling that you're studying it. You're trying to figure out what it is, if it's something that is trying to overtake you or if it's something that is going to actually benefit you. And basically, again, we have to understand is that this is something that each and every follower of Christ must do. It is not something that you are, invincible of. It's not something there where you're excluded from. It's something that we all have to do from time to time. There's been many times where, you may have ran, into a situation or a circumstance or even into a person, and basically you're trying to feel them out, and it's not saying that, that you are too holy to conversate with, worldly folks or whatever the case may be. But the issue is that in order to learn things, you actually have to be immersed in it. And basically, again, when it comes to this type of thing, this is where a lot of church folks go wrong. They, is sometimes have you ever heard of the saying where you're actually too holy for your own good? A lot of times, especially in this day and time, we have a lot of people that fall into that category. And what we have to understand is that living in this world, we're living in a world where you have to really, I hate to use the term, mess up in order to learn. And basically the reason for that is that we're still in the flesh. We're imperfect people, even though we're still trying to do a perfect work. And basically, in order to do that, you have to be able to tap into what's going on in the unseen realms, the good, the bad, everything else in between. Because again, that is the whole essence of spiritual warfare. You're learning about different spirits. You're actually being, subjected to them to see what's going on, how they work, what they do to cause different things or to cause people to act. You wanted to figure out these things. And in order for you to learn how to do that, you have to be, immersed into that environment, if you will, or into that realm, of being, so you can get a deeper understanding. And the thing about it, again, is that this is necessary because, again, the God that we serve is a spirit. And basically, again, in order for him to educate us, in order for us to be like him, we have to be able to see things as he see them. And basically, again, we have to look at, the situation a little differently, how we normally do. And that when, stuff starts acting up and people start acting crazy, you have to look at the fact, okay, they're being controlled by a spirit. It's not them per se. They're just being possessed at the moment. And they've actually given permission to be used by, certain spirits and stuff like that. So basically, again, a lot of people may sit there and ask the question, okay, why is this important? I mean, why is, again, spiritual warfare important? This is not something that, I feel that is necessary because, again, we're living human beings. Anything that we need to know is given to us in the natural. I've heard it all. Like I say, I get out and talk to people. Like I say, I don't tell or get on here and advertise everything that I do or everything that I, may, say or observed, again, in videos and stuff. But my thing is that I'm the type of person that actually, if I have to kind of like step away for a while, and just take in a whole lot of stuff. And I'm doing that more now these days than anything else, because again, I don't get on here and post video after video after video after video like some people do on here, just to have a name for yourself, and again, YouTube, I believe, is just sometimes, it's a blessing depending on how you use it, but also it can become a curse to some people because, again, they don't really know how to properly use it. A lot of people use YouTube these days just to make money. They become partners. They have their videos monetized and all this other type of stuff, and they're able to make money. But the issue is that when you're talking about spiritual warfare, this has nothing to do with money. This has something to do with something that is much more valuable than money, and it's your eternal soul. It's about studying the thing that is very important so you will know and actually get a clue on what's going on in these last days. And again, spiritual warfare, the study of what's going on in the unseen realms, is very important. And it is actually something that is not being talked about or taught or even preached in today's churches. Okay, because again, today's churches are elevating or actually going under a major transformation, which is not a good thing. And basically, they're becoming more like the secular world, if you will. But again, I don't want to get too far off topic. So basically, again, why is this study important? Well, the study is important because, again, it involves you as an individual. It involves you, the human body. And the thing about it, again, is that, in contrast to any other being in the creation of the world and everything else that God created, we humans are very unique. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, we have our five senses, and everything like that. We have the nervous system, we have veins, we have blood, we have all of these type of things, that is needed in order for us to function in the physical realm. And basically, again, and I thank God, he took time out to really carefully make and prepare us, the human race, so we'll actually, be quite unique. But the thing about it is that what really makes us unique is that we actually have really three components to us, in contrast to other living things, that actually exist here on earth. And basically, again, we're talking about the components of the body, where you have, of course, the physical body. That's, what we have every day, the flesh. But again, here's where we get a little bit more into it. We have a soul, which is eternal, which means that when the body is done living here on earth, that is the part of us that will exist forever, and again, that goes along with the spirit, and the thing about it, that's your essence. That is the part of you that actually, that I guess the type of character or the type of person that you were when you were living. You know what I mean? It's like, your spirit, your aura, if you will, basically your legacy, if you will, I guess, if you want to put it like that. I mean, I'm not trying to get too technical. I'm just trying to keep it basic where you can kind of understand where I'm going. So basically, again, you have, again, those three components of, the human existence, which is, of course, the body, the soul, and the spirit. And again, these are the three things that really make us unique in comparison to other living things that actually, again, exist here on earth. And basically, again, because of that, that uniqueness, we have to kind of, again, go ahead and kind of just ignore the part of the physical, which is the body, and begin to focus more on the spiritual realms, again, because there are so many things out there that really wants to, again, possess our bodies, if you will. It's like those strongholds that are actually being called down to really to burden us and everything like this, just to cause us to really become ignorant to what is going on, here in the world. And again, remember now, I just want to bring back that verse again, because again, we have to understand is that, the Bible reminds us constantly that we do not wrestle against, flesh and blood. Meaning that, again, your fight is not with the physical being. I can see you on the street. I can physically touch you. I can physically hit you. But again, the essence, the person or the thing that I'm really trying to attack is not that body. It's not that flesh that I just knocked in the face. It's that spirit that needs to be dealt with, that's inside the person. See, a thing about it, again, is that whenever you're talking about, the situation from that standpoint, people don't understand what this means. Basically, again, is that spiritual warfare in and of itself means just that. When you're talking about warfare, you're talking about war. Okay? Let's just break things down again. When you're talking about warfare, you're talking about going to war, you're fighting. And basically, whenever you're fighting to win. Sometimes you lose, which is okay. That means, you have a lot of learning to do. But again, that does not take away from the fact that, again, we're in a war. From the moment that you are born into spiritual warfare. Okay, understand what I'm saying. Let that sink in. You're born into spiritual warfare. So what does all of this mean then? Basically, it means that, again, from the moment you're born, you and everybody else that's in existence, at some point in time, you're going to be dealing with spirits, and basically evil spirits. The Bible tells us, again, that this is, your fight is with the spirit realm. And the thing about it, again, and I keep reiterating, is that if you don't have anything to fight with, then guess what? You are in a terrible shape. You're out there waiting to be attacked, waiting to be possessed. Because again, and the funny thing about it, again, is some people are okay with that. Some people may look at this video and listen to this video and think, hey, what in the world is he talking about? This is just stupid. And that's fine. because everybody is entitled to their opinion. But that still doesn't take away from the fact of what is spiritual warfare. And to the core, and if you take away all of the fancy wording and everything else, basically all that means is that, again, we are in the fight of our lives, not in the spiritual, not in the physical, sorry, but in a spirit realm. We are fighting spirits, evil spirits, spirits that actually have strongholds that are actually in big and, heavenly places, meaning that people that are being possessed by these evil spirits hold high offices. I.e., you got the president there that, I don't know what's going on with him, but, all I can say is that we just have to pray. That's all that I can say in that regards, but again, these are, and not only him, but there are a lot of people that are in high offices that have great power that actually can make things happen. But again, they are just generally evil people. They don't want to do things fair. They don't consult the Bible. They don't pray. The only thing that they want to gratify is the flesh. They're evil. Basically, again, people being possessed by evil spirits. Here we go again. Spiritual warfare. All right. So basically, again, whenever you're talking about, spiritual warfare, you have to keep going back, and I have to keep reiterating that we're still talking about, spirits. So basically, again, what I wanted to do is give you the properties of what spirits are. Basically, what we need to know first off is that spirits are not flesh. Okay, that's the first thing you need to know. So basically, again, it's kind of, I guess, I felt kind of silly to actually include that. But again, it's actually necessary. In order to understand, the basics of spiritual warfare, you got to understand is that all of this has to do with the warring of the spirits. And spirits are not flesh. And when I say warring, that means the good against the bad. Okay. And again, another property of the spirits is that they have no shape. Okay. So basically what we're saying here is that a spirit can actually get a hold or get into whatever is willing, if the host is willing, the spirit will get in there. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'm a firm believer. I don't know if you all know or not, but everything actually has a spirit. I know that, that may seem crazy, but it is true. It doesn't matter what it is. There is a history behind it. There is something about it that makes it significant, where it's actually able to captivate. It's able to draw you to them or to it. It's able to, in some cases, cause different, to act differently and stuff like that, and I'm going to touch on that in just a moment too. But like I say, everything has a spirit component to it. And like I say, that's why you have to be very careful about what you allow in your homes, what you allow as far as entertainment. You have to be careful. And the thing about it, again, that is more important now than ever before. You have to be careful and be aware of what you do as far as, the type of harm that you could possibly bring to your loved ones, even to yourself. I've sat there and see people even play around, even to this day and age, people bringing Ouija boards in the house and actually having live seance nights and everything. And I'm like, are you crazy? People have gotten very stupid. And I don't think, I can't say that. Some people actually know that they're dabbling into the unknown. Basically, they're actually opening themselves up to demon possession, but they're willing to take the risk because, again, they look at it as a thrill. And I'm here to tell you, the Bible tells us, and God himself tells us, that anything that we want to know, he'll let us know. We don't have to go to no soothsayers or, convert to mediums and all this other type of stuff to actually find out what is going to happen in the future. If anything, if you read your Bible, I'm pretty sure you'll have a clue for the most part on what's going on. But people these days, they actually get a hold and do things, and some of them, they do it because out of curiosity. Some of them do it because they already know what it's all about. But again, they just want that thrill, and they will actually encourage other people to do it as well. But the thing about it is that we have to know what's going on. And basically, again, spirits are there to possess. Yes, they possess. And basically, again, that is not a good thing. And basically, again, when you're talking about possession, you're talking about actually being completely controlled by an unseen realm. Think about that. That's some powerful stuff. All right. But I don't want to get too deep into that. Let's move on. Basically, and again, the last part of the properties of spirits is that it has the ability to influence. My goodness. There's that word again. Influence. Influence. So now we're having to kind of switch gears a little bit here. I like doing videos like this because again, it makes us think, or at least it should. So we're talking about influence. Influence is a very big deal these days. And the thing about it, and the reason why I say that is because basically every action is made, or I should say every action that is made by us as human beings are done in part by being influenced by someone or something. Okay? Understand what I'm saying, folks. It doesn't matter what it is, good or bad. It's brought about, the action that is brought about through being influenced by some other being. And folks got to understand that. Spirits are in business right now, as always, but they actually exist, and they are actually there to influence us, so we can actually determine whether or not we want to be involved in whatever it is that is trying to, to overtake us, if you will. But when you break things down to the core, and here and I think you all know where I'm going with this, we have to get to the basic definition of what influence is. Influence is the ability to cause things to happen through persuasion. So basically, again, that's why if you notice what I said earlier, is that you have to be careful about what you entertain or what you allow to entertain you, again, because it has the ability to influence you into doing certain things. We have a lot of things that's going on in this world right now that is unholy, that is abominable, that is just plain out ridiculous, but yet still we are okay with it because we allow ourselves to be entertained by it. And anytime you allow yourself to be entertained by something, whether it's good or bad, you open yourself up to it. Basically, you begin to enjoy it. You begin to really really want to know more about it. And then by that time, you're actually wanting to be fully engaged in it. So what we have to understand is that, again, influence is one of those powerful tools that the enemy uses all the time and has been doing it ever since the beginning of mankind to trick mankind into, saying, that the word of God is not what it is, or God is not the God of who he say he is. And again, and it's been his lifelong work as far as on human beings, that is, to convince us, because again, influence also involves convincing. And again, and it goes along with that word persuasion, is to convince us or to persuade us that basically God is not important and that we only go by and rely by what goes on in the flesh and what makes the flesh feel good. And those are the main things that the enemy is using, even to this day and time, to trick a lot of people. All right. So we need to be aware of that and to understand that for the most part is his main goal. And unfortunately is working with a lot of people because, again, look at these immoral lifestyles that's going on. Look at the things that are allowed to go on in the church. Look at, how the dynamic or the attitude towards Christianity is changing. Look at how many people have walked away from the fellowship. All of this is done under influence. Again, allowing ourselves to be entertained by something that we probably more than likely know that is not godly. But again, it just grabbed our interest. And again, there's a lot of things that is actually out there that actually influences us. It is. For the most part, the biggest thing is social media. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course, YouTube, all of these things. And again, I look at those as spirits as well, because again, It's very informational. It's all about what you take from it. But again, you got some people that actually have changed their persona, have changed because again, they've been exposed to these things. You got some people that's been the most humble people that you've seen, but once they get a hold of the internet and basically the elements of the internet on what they can do to make money off of the internet, they've become some of the most narcissistic people, arrogant people. You can't really sit around them because they figure that they know everything and that you can't tell them nothing. I mean, so like I say, all of these, you got to understand, social media, if you really want to think of it, is nothing more than a spirit because it has the ability to influence people for the worst. Okay? I'm not saying social media is bad. It all depends on how you use it. But in and of itself, again, spirits can be good or bad. But again, in this case, social media, it can become a hindrance to a lot of people because, again, they've allowed themselves to be lulled into this false sense of security, meaning that, they've got a great following. They've got millions of people following them on Twitter, Instagram, and basically every time you turn around, they're snapping pictures of themselves. It's like, and then they've forgotten really what is really going on. The fact about it is that they think that they are up here because they have a little following. And basically, again, in these day and time, the more people you have following you, the deeper your pockets get, and they lose sight of what's really important, which is your soul. They are not even aware or really want to consider the fact that they are being possessed, that they've given over themselves to a spirit, an unclean spirit. You know what I mean? It's really easy to fall into those pitfalls, and we have to really be cognizant. And the Bible tells us this to guard our heart. The Bible reminds us of these type of things, so we won't get caught up with these things that is so valuable to this world, but does not mean a hill of beans to God. I mean, you got to understand, and the only way you can do that is to keep your mind elevated. Stay in the word, attend services, stay around prayer for people that know how to reach God. You know what I mean? Now, like I said, I'm not saying that I'm there every time the church door opens, but, I am able, when I'm able to make prayer meeting, I'll do that. But again, I know that still doesn't substitute from making church attendance. And of course, I do that, as much as I possibly can. But, just listen to and just understand what I'm trying to say here. We have to be careful and understand and know that we are dealing with spirits. Okay. And the thing about it is that this is a matter of life and death, people. And this is not a joking matter. This is very serious and very heavy stuff. And I really, appreciate, the time that you have taken for those that choose to listen to this video to hear what's being said and to really understand what's going on. And again, thanks as always, and hope to speak to you guys soon. And I'll be publishing more videos as time permits. Okay. You all be blessed. Bye-bye.